We spend our entire lives trying to turn the volume down. We buy noise-canceling headphones, we look for quiet corners in the city, and we pray for a moment of peace. But there is a place on earth where you can get exactly what you ask for, and you will regret it within seconds. Welcome to the Anechoic Chamber, a room so quiet that it absorbs 99.99% of all sound. It's a place where the background noise is actually negative decibels. In here, the silence isn't a lack of noise. It's a physical weight. It's a heavy, suffocating blanket that wraps around your senses until your brain begins to panic. Most people can't stand more than 45 minutes inside this room before they start to lose their grip on reality. Why? Because your brain is a predictive machine that thrives on feedback. When the world stops talking to you, your brain starts talking to itself. It begins to amplify the sounds you were never meant to hear. The rush of blood in your ears, the grinding of your joints, the thumping of your heart like a bass drum in an empty cathedral. Today, we are going to explore the terrifying biology of absolute silence. We're going to walk through the 4 stages of sensory breakdown and discover why the quiet is actually the loudest thing you will ever experience. You think you want peace? Let's see what happens when the only thing left to listen to is the glitch inside your own head. The moment the heavy insulated door clicks shut, the first thing you notice isn't the silence, it's the pressure. It feels like your ears need to pop, but there is no relief. In the outside world, sound is constantly bouncing off walls, floors, and ceilings. This echo provides your brain with a hidden map of your surroundings, but in the anechoic chamber, the sound waves just die. The floor is a mesh of steel cables suspended over deep foam wedges, and the walls are jagged teeth of fiberglass that swallow every vibration. Within 5 minutes, the external map in your head vanishes. You feel a strange sense of vertigo. Your inner ear, which relies on sound reflections to help maintain your balance, begins to malfunction. You find it hard to stand still. You feel like you're floating in a dark, bottomless void. Then, the orchestra begins. Since there is no external noise to process, your brain turns the gain up on your internal sensors. Suddenly, you can hear your lungs expanding like crinkling plastic bags. You can hear the high-pitched hiss of your nervous system, a sound that is always there but usually masked by the hum of the world. You hear your neck vertebrae grinding together every time you tilt your head, a sound that feels like a shovel hitting gravel. You realize that you aren't a silent observer. You are a noisy biological factory. The sound of silence is actually the roar of your own survival, and for the first time in your life, you are trapped in a room with a version of yourself that is far too loud. As you cross the 15-minute mark, the novelty of hearing your own heartbeat wears off and is replaced by something much more sinister: the ghost signals. Your brain is an addiction machine, and its drug of choice is information. When the ears stop sending data, the auditory cortex doesn't just go dormant, it begins to starve. In a desperate attempt to maintain its predictive model of reality, it starts searching for patterns in the static. This is where the hallucinations begin. It starts subtly. You might think you hear a faint telephone ringing in the distance, or the muffled sound of a crowd whispering just outside the walls. This is called auditory pareidolia. Your brain is taking the random firing of your neurons and trying to shape them into familiar sounds. You are essentially dreaming while wide awake, but the dream is confined to your ears. By the 30-minute mark, your relationship with space and time starts to dissolve. Without the sound of wind, the hum of an air conditioner, or the distant rumble of traffic, you lose your sense of perspective. You can't tell if the room is 10 feet wide or 10 miles wide. Every movement you make feels deafening. If you shift your feet, the sound of your clothes rubbing together sounds like a thunderstorm. You become hyper-aware of your own existence to a point of intense anxiety. You aren't just sitting in a quiet room anymore. You are locked in a sensory prison where you are both the prisoner and the shouting guard. The silence has become an interrogator, asking you questions about your own consciousness that you aren't prepared to answer. When you hit the final stretch, the 40-minute mark, the silence stops being an experience and starts being an existential threat. This is where the great uncoupling happens. In the outside world, your brain uses sound to anchor your ego to the physical world. Sound is a constant tether. The rustle of your clothes, the hum of the air, the distant birds. These are the coordinates that tell your brain where you end and where the world begins. Without them, the boundary between you and the room begins to blur. You might feel a sudden overwhelming surge of panic, not because of what you hear, but because of the terrifying realization that your entire reality is a fragile construct maintained by external noise. Researchers have found that people in this final stage often report a feeling of derealization. It's a state where the world feels like a dream, and you start to wonder if you are still in the room at all. Some people begin to talk to themselves not for company, but as a desperate survival tactic to prove they still exist. They scream, they clap their hands, they sing, anything to break the crushing weight of the nothingness. But the chamber is a hungry god. Its fiberglass teeth swallow your scream instantly. There is no echo. Your voice sounds dead, flat, and tiny. It's the sound of a person who has been erased from the physics of the universe. Your mind begins to question, if I make a sound and the world doesn't acknowledge it, do I even exist? This is the peak of the sensory glitch. Most volunteers beg to be let out before the 45-minute timer hits zero. The internal pressure becomes a physical force, a pulsing migraine of pure silence. But when the heavy door finally swings open and the normal world rushes back in, the experience is nothing short of a sensory explosion. The simple, boring hum of a light bulb sounds like a celestial choir. The distant sound of a car tire on asphalt feels like a grand symphony. Your nervous system, which was starved and screaming in the dark, suddenly drinks in the noise like a man dying of thirst in a desert. You realize in that moment of return that you don't actually hate noise, you need it. We spend our entire lives complaining about the chaos of the world, the traffic, the shouting, the digital buzz. But that chaos is exactly what keeps us sane. It is the white noise of existence. The sound of silence teaches us the ultimate truth about being human. We are not isolated islands of consciousness. We are nodes in a vibrating, noisy, messy ecosystem. Without the other, without the world talking back to us through its chaotic frequencies, the self simply evaporates into the void. We are creatures of the signal. The leopard didn't hunt in absolute silence. It hunted in a world of wind, moving leaves, and distant calls. If the signals stop, the hunter becomes the prey of his own runaway imagination. The silence isn't your friend. It's a mirror that reflects the one thing you spend your life trying to ignore: the terrifyingly vast space inside your own head. The chamber is now open. You can breathe again. But as you walk back into the noisy streets, you'll never hear the world the same way again. Every honk, every whisper, every rustle of the wind is a gift. It's the sound of reality holding on to you. Subscribe to Axon Path, and let's keep hacking the code of our senses, together. Stay noisy, stay real, and never trust the quiet.